Welcome to Click for IB Biology. We're studying topic D4.3 climate change, and here we're looking at the impact of global warming temperatures and on the topic of phenology. There's a PDF of this presentation that's linked into the description below. Download that and annotate with your own notes, and then why not check out your understanding by taking the 10-question quiz and assessing yourself with the answers, which are also provided in the links below. And so let's take a look at this concept of phenology, which is the timing of natural biological events and how they are influenced by climate and seasonal change. So phenology are the occurrence of natural biological events at particular times. And in this particular first example that we're going to look at is related to the feeding of reindeer and their food source, which is the mouse-eared chickweed. Now, the mouse-eared chickweed, its growth and development, not its flowering, but its growth and development as a food source is temperature regulated. But the migration and the movement of reindeer from the bottom of mountains towards the top of the mountains is photoperiod related. Now, the distinction is important because temperature, of course, is changeable, and in this particular case, due to global warming effects. But photoperiod relates to the ratio of day to night, and that is unaffected by climate change effects. And so the mouse-eared chickweed plant is going to change its growth time, but the reindeer will not change its migration time. So ordinarily what happens is that the reindeer migrate to higher elevations, so they come to the tops of the mountains in the summer to avoid mosquitoes and black fly. This coincides ordinarily with the growth of the mouse-eared chickweed, but the impact of global warming is that the chickweed, because it's warmer, the chickweed is growing at the top of the hill before the migration takes place. Now, the migration is not going to occur until a particular time in the year, which coincides with the photoperiod. And so the consequence of this is that the nutritious availability of food at the top of mountains, which they seek out in relief from the effects of mosquitoes and black fly, when they get to the tops of the mountains, the chickweed has already completed and finished its growth, and therefore does not provide the nutrient basis for the reindeer on which to feed their calves. And so this global warming is having an impact of undermining the breeding behavior of the reindeer. Another example of phenology is seen in the northern temperate species of a bird called Parus major, or the blue-tit bird. And we begin at this location here. And ordinarily what happens is that in the late spring, the warm temperatures of late spring result in a temperature trigger to the tree for bud bursts. These are its leaves, the new leaves of the tree beginning to grow, and that this provides food for the wintermoth larvae. And so this is late spring. So in the late spring, the larvae are eating on the oak tree leaves, and this coincides with Parus major, the blue tit's production of its nest, and in fact at this time the birds have already hatched. But again, this is a photoperiod trigger, so the trigger for the bird and its breeding is based on photoperiod, which is not subject to climate change. But the production of the leaves and the availability of the caterpillars is subject to climate change. So ordinarily the adult bird will collect the larvae and feed the bird. However, what has happened is that with global warming and with higher temperatures, the oak tree, which is susceptible to a temperature trigger, is producing its bud bursts, its new leaves, early. So we're now moving to the early spring. And so therefore the caterpillar, which is also temperature triggered, will then be eating the leaves, the buds of the oak tree in the early spring, but the Parus major is unable to respond to this change because its trigger for its breeding behavior is based on the photoperiod. And so the declining numbers of this particular bird are because its trigger is the photoperiod, whereas the tree and the caterpillar's trigger is temperature, which has been changed by global warming and the increased temperature levels. In the next video, to finish off with, we're going to look at one small example of how climate change and global warming may be influencing evolutionary biology. There's a playlist on the right hand side, and please do subscribe. It's always inspiring to see an extra person subscribing as we go along. Thank you for watching.